We are with Professor Dimitrios Buhalis, Director of E-Tourism Lab at Bournemouth University. Professor, what are the major developments in e-tourism and how the hoteliers and tourism organizations, as well as travel agents in general, can benefit from these developments?
I think in general what you find is that technology is changing the way that the industry is operating and the way consumers interact with each other and also with tourism organizations. What we find is that the proliferation of technologies and the new tools that everybody has got enable them to personalize and contextualize their product to their particular needs. This is something that we call co-creation. So technology enables consumers to co-create their products with organizations so that they are able to provide this kind of services. In order to do that, there is a very high level of engagement where consumers are informing organizations how they would like to develop and deliver their products, and how organizations then go back in their operations and customize their product to meet these requirements. What you find is that through mainly social media, consumers are now have the opportunity to engage in a dialogue, continuous and dynamic dialogue with organizations. And what's happening is that before they travel, they have the opportunity to engage in this discussion. Increasingly during their travel, they are posting all kind of content that is generated locally, and they can also post requests about particular things. And when they come back from holiday, they just then share their experience with other consumers. This creates an atmosphere of dialogue and discussion, and that enables consumers to actually enjoy better and have better experience, technology-empowered experience, we call it, in Bournemouth University. And also it enables those innovative organizations and destinations to engage in this meaningful dialogue in order to co-create these tourism experiences.
You mentioned co-creation. How do you see that happen?
Well, there are a lot of different ways of doing that with all these technologies. For example, someone may send an email to a hotel and say, I'd like my room to be in that way, or I'd like this kind of products and services. But one of the things we see in technology is that we constantly seeking information about what's happening in our context. So if you go to an island and it's a rainy day, then it's a different product than if it's a sunshine day. So what you do is you have context-based services where you are constantly you're constantly looking to elements of the context, and you're constantly understanding how you can take the context and create better products. On the example I gave you earlier, if it's a rainy day, the system may suggest products and services that are indoors. For example, going to a museum or playing bowling or playing games in a local facility. If it's a sunny day, again, the system should understand who is the customer. If the customer has got kids, it may be a water park kind of attraction. If the customer is a group of ladies who are into cultural kind of tourism, they may customize the product to their particular requirements. Context-based services bring together the elements about the person, so that's personalization. It brings together the external environment of the organization and the tourism destination. So there you can see things like weather, what time it is, what is the current situation of the destination, where is the traffic, where are local festivals or whatever, and then it brings an element of other travelers. So the system understands how other travelers behave and proposes different ways of interaction with consumers in order to maximize and improve their experience. What is critical on all that is to understand what kind of tools we've got available currently, and to aggregate and integrate all this information that is currently available. And there's a proliferation of information, and we're dealing with what we call big data. So it's about managing a lot of content, a lot of information that is generated from a whole range of different content providers, and managing them in the best possible way to maximize the effectiveness and the experience for the consumer.
What do you think how the hoteliers have to react in these new realities?
Well, hospitality around the world is changing dramatically because of the new tools and the opportunities that they're giving us. What innovative hoteliers realize is that increasingly their job is not about providing beds and food to guests, but to engage in a much more dynamic kind of dialogue to customize the product and the services that they offer. I just came back from Hong Kong, where we are developing new products and services for Hotel Icon in Hong Kong, where what's going to happen is that we are going to be looking to all the Instagram pictures that consumers are creating. We will endorse them, we will create dialogue with them. Every time that someone is commenting on Facebook, we are responding. Every time that someone is speaking to us on Twitter, we are responding. We are responding to a lot of different kind of stimuli that's happening in a particular area, and gradually hotels need to understand which target markets they need to approach to position their product and to create their online presence on the Web 1 and the Web 2 environment in order to maximize their presence and in order to maximize their interactivity with consumers. If they do that, then they increase the intended demand. And when they've got intended demand, then consumers are going to them specifically because they've differentiated their product, rather than going to expensive online travel agents where most of the competition is based on pricing.
You mentioned intended demand. How they can improve profitability?
Well, in the 80s, hoteliers had only the opportunity of creating a brochure and send it abroad, and also they had the opportunity to make contracts with tour operators. As with the internet in the 90s and now after the 2000 becoming mainstream, they've got the opportunity to use all different channels to promote their products, and also to use all kinds of social media platforms to engage in real-time conversation with consumers and bring them into their website to transact. What people need to realize is that most of the distribution channels, they cost something like between 20 to 25%, 1/4 of the income of the hotelier is going to distribution channel. Especially in Europe, where the labor cost is quite high, that means that before you do anything, 6% of the turnover is already committed to distribution and to labor cost. So what increasingly has to happen is for the hoteliers to bring their intended demand back to their own distribution channels and make direct bookings with them, so they can avoid paying distribution fees, and also at the same time to make sure that they differentiate the product and they have direct bookings rather than people searching around to different kind of suppliers. Most of the social media are free effectively to operate. The only cost is the time that the hotelier has got to dedicate to this, and also the expertise that's required. And there are several organizations and individuals now that they've got this expertise that they can share with hoteliers. If people use distribution channels and social media in a clever way, they'll have the opportunity to engage into this dialogue and to ensure that consumers are intentionally going to their own premises. If then they use yield management and revenue management techniques in terms of understanding when they've got exceeding capacity and using the techniques on revenue management to increase their demand, then they'll have a lot of opportunity cost recaptured because of the sales that they would have not actually materialized if they hadn't used all the strategic tools that they are available now. So all in all, there's a whole range of new tools that are available out there. Technology is bringing us the new tools, but it's a matter of how you manage the new tools in order to maximize the profitability and to maximize the intentional demand for organizations. And I think what is critical is to understand that technology is like any other tool that needs to be driven in the best possible way, and to ensure that that is targeted, that is providing solutions that create value, it's contextualized, it's personalized, and it's enabling consumers to interact in such a way that's profitable for the organization.